Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth. I've had this game sitting on my shelf since November last year. A family member got me it for my birthday, because, I don't know, I'm getting older now, I don't know what I want for a birthday gift anymore. But I wanted to give Digimon games a try again, so I asked for this. Only just gotten around to playing it though. It's interesting. Gonna be spoilers in here by the way, just letting you know. Of all the modern Digimon titles, this was the one I was looking forward to trying out the most. Because I'm a story guy. I like games that tell a narrative. I love jumping in, getting fully immersed, and just losing myself in a different world for a while. So I was excited to embark on my own Digimon adventure with this one. And that kinda happened, but not really. Let's have a chat. So Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth centers around a digital space called Eden, which is sort of a virtual reality metaverse thing, a bit like a Ready Player One kind of deal. People log in to hang out and work and have their own avatars and stuff. This is where we start off, and we quickly run into a hacker who gives us a Digimon capture program. That's how we'll scan Digimon's data and be able to create our own Digimon in this game. And then we get to choose our first partner Digimon. Sounds weird to say to me because I've always seen Digimon as a single partner kind of thing, rather than a catch-em-all kind of deal, but we'll run with it. My favourite Digimon, Terriermon, is one of the starters in this game, so that immediately got me on side. Definitely helped with my motivation to play during the early game. And then we're attacked by something called an Eater, which are these scary entities that we'll talk about a bit more as we go on. In the process, we escape back to the real world, but our body is all messed up. We've become half physical, half digital, which isn't an ideal state to be in, but turns out to be perfect for what this game wants us to do. Because when we drop back into the real world, we quickly meet Kyoko, who runs a detective agency. We are particularly useful to her because our half and half state means we can seamlessly shift between the real world and the digital world. Basically any connect point, we can make the jump. Kinda gives off Adventure 2 vibes. So yeah, the game takes place across real world areas of Tokyo, which look fantastic. They're pretty much all condensed to just one or two streets, but visually they're very striking. And also we have the cyberspace areas of Eden, where people hang out, do business and all that good stuff. And also Kowloon, which is like a long maze of digital dungeons where hackers and seedy characters run rampant. It's very much the underbelly of the cyberspace featured in this game. Initially, I thought Kowloon was boring. It's very samey and there's not much to it. It seemed kinda lazy. But as time went on, I came to realize that it makes sense for it to be this way. It's a digital graveyard of sorts. It's not supposed to look pretty. It's very utilitarian. It serves its function for the unsavory characters who frequent it, and that's what matters. And that sets up the core concept of the game. We are a cyber sleuth, working for a detective agency, jumping between worlds to solve cyber crimes. Oh, and Digimon are here too. From very early on, I felt like Digimon was kind of an afterthought with this game. It could ever so easily just be a generic cyber detective JRPG. It does feel like it was too heavily weighted on that side compared to the actual Digimon concept. The detective agency is our base of operations. We accept cases on this pinboard here. There are main cases that progress the story, and side cases that you can take or leave. Although with the amount of grinding that's required in this game to level up your Digimon, you might as well just do them to help out with that. Otherwise you'll run into some pretty gnarly difficulty spikes later on and be woefully unprepared for them. And you don't want to be unprepared for them. Because if you lose a Digimon battle in this game, it's game over. You aren't just warped back to home base to do a bit more training and try again. The game kicks you back to the title screen. So make sure you save your game incredibly often. Otherwise you could literally lose hours of progress. Luckily, I am kind of a paranoid person who saves my games after every meaningful interaction, so when I did wipe out, I didn't have too much to play back through. Speaking of battles, I'm gonna be honest, even after completing this game, I don't know a whole lot about the battle system. It's very convoluted. Like, Digimon has a rock, paper, scissors system with typings, but they do also have attributes here giving an extra layer of depth. There's a lot of different moves to choose from. You don't just have 3 or 4 like other fighter or monster tamer games. You have 3 Digimon at a time on the field, against potentially 3 or 4 Digimon on the enemy side, and you go back and forth in a turn-based system. You can get your head around the battles for sure, but I feel like if your game feels the need to have an auto battle function, then your game probably needs to simplify its battles. I went through 90% of this game using the auto battle function, and even then, with the game doing it for me, many boss battles would take like 20 minutes. I remember leaving my desk to go make coffee during some of these. Like I said, you can get your head wrapped around it. It's just more complicated than it needs to be for me. Hot take, I don't even think Digimon is a franchise that needs type advantages. There's no real way to visually tell whether a Digimon is data, vaccine, virus, or free. You have to check the stats screen every time. There's no way to make an educated guess. So for me, I just take types out of the equation and just go on pure strength and strategy. But the battles do look good. The animations are great. You can see a lot of effort went into getting all of these in here. Very cinematic at times. Just needs condensing down a bit for me. Mechanically, this game can be pretty complicated. There are a lot of numbers, a lot of nuances, and a lot of tedious grinding to get to where you want to be. Digimon will level up as you train them, and eventually be able to digivolve when certain stats reach certain points. Sometimes though, you'll run into a wall where all but one stat are where they need to be. Usually it's the ability stat that's lacking. How do you get this ability stat up? There are a couple of methods, but mainly by de-digivolving. Yep, if you want a certain mega form, a lot of the time you'll have to pull your ultimate Digimon back down to champion, and then train it back up again to digivolve to ultimate, and then train that back up to the right level to digivolve to mega. Because here's the thing, when you de-digivolve, your Digimon doesn't go back to the level it was at that stage before you digivolved it, which might have been level 40. It resets all the way back to level 1. That's a big difference between Digimon and Pokemon. When you evolve a Bulbasaur to Ivysaur at level 16, your level 16 Bulbasaur becomes a level 16 Ivysaur. In Digimon, your level 16 Agumon becomes a level 1 Greymon. You might prefer that, I don't know. With the right strategy, grinding XP can be really fast, but you have to really seek out that knowledge to take advantage of it. Obtaining the Digimon themselves is pretty simple. You just need to encounter them a few times. Each time you encounter a Digimon, the scan level goes up, and when it reaches at least 100%, you can let it go higher if you want better ability stats. You can then convert that data into your own version of that Digimon. I will say, as somewhat of a purist who thinks we should stay true to the early days and only have one Digimon partner, I found it kind of addictive. Scanning and converting and training and digivolving, it is quite a satisfying loop, especially if you're chilling out and watching TV while you're doing it. Oh, here's a fun one to close out the section. The Digimon follow you in this game. The first 3 Digimon at the front of your party will visually follow your character in the game, which is fine when your Digimon are rookie level or below, but once you start getting to champion and above, it gets kinda hard to see what you're trying to interact with these huge monsters crowded around you. It took me until chapter 19 or 20 before I realised that you can hide them in the settings. I of course did it for the final couple of chapters, but I wish I'd had the foresight to at least quickly Google it. It would have saved me a lot of frustration. I've got to play Hacker's Memory straight after this, so that setting is definitely getting enabled first thing when I boot that game up. As the main story progresses, we learn that these eaters that we ran into at the start are the main villains of the game. They're consuming all data in sight. They're consuming people's data, resulting in something known as Eden Syndrome, where people's physical bodies are left lying comatose in hospital. So we've got to take these things down, especially seeing as these things are starting to spill over into the real world. This kind of reminds me of the D-Reaper in the Digimon Tamers anime, and the chaos that infects Shinjuku, but not quite as good. But it's a solid narrative. There's some conflict thrown in there when the very Digimon we team up with to defeat them, the Royal Knights, are divided on whether to side with humanity or not. So we have to defeat some of them too along the way. Eventually, we have to defeat the big boss eater who has essentially merged with the core of Eden's host computer. That's a pretty lengthy battle. And we save the world. The Eden Syndrome patients wake up, and it's happily ever afters all around. I am sort of snapshotting the story there. There are many little surprises and nuances we encounter along the way that I'll not ruin for you if you haven't played and want to play the game yourself. Like I said, I like the narrative. It definitely could have been more streamlined. This game is incredibly dialogue heavy. I don't play a lot of JRPGs. I watch a lot of streams where people are playing them, and so I know that JRPGs do tend to have pretty extensive dialogue. I don't think it quite suits the story Digimon was trying to tell here though, because there are so many detours and extended bouts of dialogue that you'd be forgiven for forgetting important details. I had to constantly remind myself where the main story was at, because I might have just spent the last 2 hours doing cases where Digimon aren't even involved. At times, this could literally be any franchise, and then it's like the game suddenly remembers it's a Digimon game and snaps back into the story it's supposed to be telling. I kinda want to take the footage I got from all the main story sections of this game and stitch them together to create a little movie I can watch. I might do that in my own time, because they're so far apart when you're pushing through all the filler portions as well. Cyber Sleuth is a long game, a really long game, but the fact that it's segmented into these cases makes it a lot more manageable and a lot less intimidating. It's easy enough to jump on and do a couple of cases here and there to gradually chip away at it. This game has some interesting music. It's a good soundtrack. A lot of very tense tracks in here. Like, I felt uneasy listening to a lot of them while I was playing. Like this ever-present sense of impending doom, which is likely the point. Really good though, I'll be honest. I almost played this game on mute, because I was recording this playthrough sort of while I had other things going on in the background, but I'm so glad that I didn't, because the music really does set the tone for this game. I think Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth is a good example of taking the core concept of a franchise and shoehorning it into something wildly different. I enjoyed this game because it had been a while since I'd engaged with the franchise in any capacity, to be fair. It doesn't reach the heights of the potential of Digimon by a long shot, but it's absolutely a step in the right direction in my opinion. The battles look great, the story is satisfactory, there are some memorable characters in here. I hope there is a long-term future in the story series in the 3D era of gaming, because this line of games, I think, is the key to pushing Digimon back into the Western mainstream again. But why don't you guys let me know your thoughts about Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth? Have you played this game? If you did, how close to completion did you get? Because there's a lot to do in this game for sure. Drop your thoughts down in the comments. Hit the like button while you're down there, that'd be a huge help for me. Subscribe for more Digimon videos, and I'll catch you all in the next one.